The night they fired Maria, the executives didn't even look at her face. They stood inside the glass lobby of the tallest building in the city, wearing expensive suits and laughing about million-dollar deals, while the woman who cleaned their offices for 15 years stood quietly holding her old supply cart. The CEO looked at her like she was part of the furniture. "Security will escort you out," he said. Maria froze. "After 15 years, you won't even tell me why?" The CEO adjusted his watch. "You were a cleaner, Maria, not an employee we trusted with important things." Those words hurt more than losing her job. Because every night, after everyone left, Maria was the only person who saw what happened inside those walls. She saw the late-night meetings, the secret visitors, the documents executives thought nobody noticed. But nobody ever asked what she knew. Because to them, Maria didn't exist. She was just the woman who emptied their trash. What they didn't know was that the woman they ignored had been collecting every piece of the truth. And one forgotten file was about to destroy everything they built. Maria Alvarez grew up believing that hard work was something people respected. Her father was a mechanic. Her mother worked 2 jobs. They never had money, but they always told Maria the same thing. Your character is worth more than your bank account. Maria carried that lesson her entire life. After her husband passed away unexpectedly, she had to raise her daughter alone. The corporate cleaning job at Sterling Technologies became her lifeline. The building was famous. It belonged to one of the biggest technology companies in the country, the kind of company that appeared on magazine covers. The CEO, Richard Hayes, was known as a genius, a billionaire who built an empire from nothing. At least, that was what everyone believed. For years, Maria cleaned the offices while listening to powerful people talk. She heard things they never expected anyone to hear. Executives complained about lawsuits. Managers whispered about missing money. Lawyers arrived late at night carrying locked briefcases. But Maria stayed silent. She knew her place. Until one night. Everything changed. It was almost midnight. The entire building was empty. The city lights reflected against the giant windows as Maria pushed her cart through the executive floor. She was cleaning the CEO's private office, a place she was normally forbidden to enter. But the door was accidentally left unlocked. Maria stepped inside. The room was different from the rest of the building. Everything was perfect. The furniture was expensive. The walls were covered with awards. Photos showed Richard Hayes shaking hands with world leaders. A perfect image. A perfect man. But something on the desk caught Maria's attention. A small black folder. No company logo. No label. Just one word written on the front. Archive. Maria ignored it at first. She wasn't looking for trouble. She only wanted to finish her shift. But then she noticed something. The folder had fallen open. Inside were documents. Not business reports. Not financial statements. Something else. Names. Dates. Payments. Thousands of dollars transferred to unknown accounts. Maria slowly picked up the first page. Her hands started shaking. Because she recognized one of the names. A manager who had recently been promoted. A man everyone admired. But the document showed he was receiving secret payments. Why? Maria turned the page. And what she saw next made her stop breathing. A list of employees. Hundreds of them. People who had been fired. People who had disappeared from the company. Next to every name was a note. Problem. Risk. Remove. Maria's heart started pounding. This wasn't normal corruption. This was something bigger. Much bigger. She took pictures with her phone. Every page. Every name. Every transaction. Then suddenly, the office lights turned on. Maria jumped. Someone was inside. A voice came from behind her. "What are you doing here?" Maria slowly turned around. It was David Cole, the company's security director, a man known for intimidating employees. He stared at the folder in her hands. Then his expression changed. Not anger. Fear. "Where did you find that?" Maria stepped back. "I was just cleaning." David walked closer. "Give me the file." Something about his voice scared her. Not because he was threatening. Because he sounded desperate. Maria grabbed her cart and moved toward the door. David blocked her path. "You don't understand what you found." "Then explain it." Silence. For the first time, someone powerful had no answer. David looked at the folder. Then at Maria. "You need to leave this building and forget tonight happened." Maria looked at him. "And if I don't?" David lowered his voice. "Then they will make you disappear." The next morning, Maria arrived at work. But everything felt different. 2 security guards were waiting. The receptionist wouldn't look at her. Her manager avoided her. Then Richard Hayes walked out of the elevator. The billionaire CEO. The man whose face was on every magazine. He smiled. A calm, fake smile. Maria. She didn't answer. I heard there was a misunderstanding last night. A misunderstanding? Richard laughed softly. You are a good worker. You've always been loyal. He stepped closer. But sometimes people accidentally step into places they don't belong. Maria looked him in the eyes. Like your office? The smile disappeared. Only for a second. But Maria noticed. Richard leaned closer. You have a family, don't you? A cold feeling went through her. It wasn't a threat. It was worse. It was a reminder. He knew exactly where she lived, who she loved, what she had to lose. Then he walked away. And 10 minutes later, Maria's access card stopped working. Her job was gone. For 3 days, Maria tried to expose the truth. She contacted journalists, lawyers, authorities. Nobody listened. Because Sterling Technologies was powerful, people didn't believe a cleaner. They believed billionaires. Her daughter asked her one night, Mom, why are you fighting this? Maria sat quietly. Because she didn't know how to explain it. She wasn't fighting for money. She wasn't fighting for revenge. She was fighting because hundreds of people had been hurt. People nobody cared about. Just like nobody cared about her. Then she remembered something. The folder. She only photographed some pages. But the original file was still inside the building. And there was one person who might help her. David Cole. Maria found David in an old parking garage. He looked exhausted. Different. Less like a powerful security chief. More like someone carrying a heavy secret. You came, Maria said. David nodded. I should have stopped this years ago. Maria waited. David finally told her the truth. Richard Hayes didn't build Sterling Technologies alone. Years ago, the company had another founder. David's best friend. A brilliant engineer. He discovered executives were stealing money and hiding dangerous mistakes. When he threatened to expose them, he was removed. His reputation destroyed. His career ended. And Richard took control. The file proves everything, David said. Fraud. Cover-ups. Blackmail. Maria looked at him. Then why didn't you expose him? David looked away. Because I was scared. Maria understood. Powerful people stayed powerful because everyone else was afraid. But fear had already taken enough from her. They needed the original file. The only copy. The only evidence. So that night, Maria and David returned to the building. The same building where she had cleaned floors for 15 years. But this time, she wasn't invisible. They entered through a forgotten maintenance entrance. Maria knew every corner, every hallway, every blind spot. The executives thought they owned the building. But Maria knew it better than anyone. They reached the archive room. The door was locked. David tried to open it. Nothing. Then Maria smiled. What? She pointed to the old cleaning closet beside them. I fixed that lock 3 years ago. David stared. You remember that? Maria looked at him. That was my job. Inside the archive room, they found hundreds of files. Not just one. Years of secrets. Then suddenly, the alarm started. Red lights flashed. Someone had triggered security. David looked worried. They know we're here. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Richard Hayes appeared, surrounded by security. He looked at Maria and smiled. I almost feel bad. Maria held the file tightly. For what? For believing you could hurt me. Richard stepped closer. You're a cleaner. Nobody will believe you. Maria looked around. Then she smiled. Maybe not. She lifted her phone. But they will believe this. Unknown to Richard, Maria had been recording everything. The entire conversation. His threats. His confession. Everything. And David had already sent copies of the documents to reporters. To investigators. To everyone. Richard's face changed. For the first time, he looked afraid. You don't understand what you just did. Maria answered quietly. No. She looked at him. You don't understand what you did. The next morning, the entire world knew. News channels showed the evidence. Investigations began. Executives resigned. Accounts were frozen. The empire Richard Hayes built started collapsing. And the woman everyone ignored became the person everyone wanted to hear from. Months later, Maria stood outside the same building. But this time, she wasn't holding a cleaning cart. She was holding an award. The city recognized her courage. Former employees thanked her. People who were once invisible stood beside her. A reporter asked, "Maria, after everything that happened, what would you say to the people who underestimated you?" Maria looked at the building, the same place where they told her she didn't matter. Then she smiled. People often mistake silence for weakness. She paused. But sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one who sees everything. And as the crowd applauded, Maria walked away, not as a cleaner, not as someone invisible, but as the person who brought down an empire.